recording camera. The batteries are charging, so I'm shooting this instead of my GoPro, and we'll see how this turns out. I'm doing a review on the LuthAR MBA-1. The LuthAR MBA-1 is an adjustable stock designed to compete with the Magpul PRS and the LMT SOP-mod stock. So the first thing I want to talk about is the material it's made out of. The stock itself is made out of a fiber reinforced nylon, I believe. It's very tough stuff. You can see here's an A2 style stock. It's a kind of a softer plastic. You hear it kind of clicky sound. When you tap on it, you can scratch with your fingernail. You can see little scratches marks in the plastic. It's kind of matte finished. This is what I would consider just a nylon type stock. The Pelican cases are also, I think, fiber reinforced nylon or something like that. And you can see there's that texture. You can see the kind of striations in it a little bit. When you tap on it, you hear a pretty clear ringing sound when you tap it. In addition to that, pretty clear ringing sound when you tap it. But even these Pelican cases, you can scratch it, you can leave marks in it with your fingernails. It's designed to be tough and durable. It's not designed to be super, super hard. Now, this Luth-AR stock, the stock material itself, you can hear when you tap on it. I don't know if you can quite hear. It makes it tick, but it also rings. And that, to me, says it's very stiff, very hard, and you can feel, it's very stiff, very hard. You can't bend it, you can't flex it at all. And you take your fingernail and you try to press your fingernail, so you can catch it in the light. Try to press your fingernail into it. It doesn't leave any kind of mark on this. I'm assuming, again, it's some kind of fiber reinforced nylon polymer. Very, very tough stuff. I couldn't think. This Pelican case is the closest thing I could think of that had a similar type of plastic, but this Pelican case is much softer. I'm thinking that maybe I've seen ladders made out of this kind of material before. But anyways, I'm very impressed with it. I handled a Magpul PRS stock on Saturday, so just, I guess, yesterday. And my father has an AR built by LMT with the LMT SOP-mod stock. And in both cases, the Magpul PRS and the SOP-mod stock are softer material. They feel, I wouldn't say cheaper because they're heavy, but the materials themselves don't feel as good as this LuthAR stock. I was very impressed by it. This is one of the things I was most impressed by with this stock. But that's for the frame. The riser itself, this piece, I think is Kydex, because it feels to me like Kydex, which is very tough plastic. There's a lot of gun holsters and things like that that are made out of Kydex. The butt pad is like a rubberized plastic. It's definitely a softer material. Feels almost like rubber, but it's that kind of oily kind of feel where it's not quite rubber. I feel like maybe I've seen this kind of stuff being used on like the bottom of pieces of furniture, like for sliders. That's the kind of material it is. But going through, the rest of the hardware, it uses a lot of, looks like star bolts that could also be hex bolts, so it would be either hex or star bolts. This side has very beefy thumb screws, and I'll take one of these things off and have you look at it. Very nicely coated. I'm not sure, some kind of black, either black paint or something. Coated thumb screws. And then these little bits and pieces are made out of the same fiber reinforced polymer that the rest of the stock is. I guess I should have said, my intention with this video I've seen these stocks online, and one of the folks at the range I regularly visit recommended me looking at these LuthAR stocks in place of a Magpul PRS, which is what my original, which is the stock that I originally wanted for my Grendel rifle. Originally, when I built this Grendel rifle, it was stretching my budget, so I put just a plain A2 style stock on it, which is a good stock, but it leaves some to be desired in terms of adjustability. And now that I have an adjustable stock on my FTR rifle, and my dad has an adjustable stock on his AR, I feel like I need to probably up my game. Also, the bottom edge of the A2 style stock does not ride bags very well. It's not super comfortable to hold, and even though I replaced the sling loop with a stud, it still doesn't quite fit my bags right, and it offers no rise to the scope. And the scope is not mounted low on the rails because AR type mounts typically don't. Let's talk about some things about it, some features about it. One, there's lots of adjustability to this stock. There's you can set the length of pull. The length of pull being the distance from your shoulder to the trigger. So the way that you would adjust that on this type of a stock is by moving this. I've screwed the thumb screw too far back. Is by moving this butt pad back relative to the rest of the stock. So when this is mounted, it stretches, it pushes your shoulder back. And once you move it, there's a pretty good friction fit here. But as you move it, you can see there's these little teeth along that groove, the slider groove, and those teeth are made up with this square cut gripper piece. And I'm not sure what this is called. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this on an AR. It's a pretty neat design. Oops. Back to what I was saying. This little gripper grips onto this side of this sliding piece. The thumb screw has a lock washer. So when you screw this back in, it locks against the lock washer. Little grippers grab into those little teeth, and then friction-wise, it's very difficult to get this to move. And I can't do it just with my hands. So pretty good design there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this because we're going to need to access that rear screw, rear threaded area for the rifle buffer tube in just a second. You can see here's what I was talking about, a rubberized kind of plasticky butt pad. It doesn't offer any give, but it at least grips the shoulder pretty well, and I guess its intent is to be grippy. It also has a slight kind of curve, which is kind of nice because the human body is not square, not robots. The same kind of system. There's a little gripper here. You screw the thumb screw back, you loosen up the gripper, and then you can move this riser up and down. And let's see how much adjustment. Looks like this is the top of the adjustment. And if I grab my calipers, calipers say there is about I'm not going to be able to get super precise, but I say there's about it says 0.95 inches. So about an inch of rise, which should be sufficient to get your eye up. If you look in line, an inch is about what you want, or at least what I would want. So let's go ahead and move this down. You can see there's lots of little holes, so you can actually shift this cheek riser forwards and backwards up to a point. There's also, it's skeletonized a bit, so it's very lightweight. And there's a hole dug out on both sides for the kind of quick detach sling mounts, which I will not be using because I'm not going to put a sling on it. 13-pound rifle. Also, it comes with a hex Allen wrench, so it comes with a hex wrench or an Allen wrench attached to the stock. It's pretty difficult to get out. I feel like I need a flathead screwdriver to actually pry it out, but at least it's there. You could probably use a bolt tip or something to pry it out, and that will actually give you the ability to remove some of these screws if you needed to. Now, I've handled a Magpul PRS, and the Magpul PRS, besides looking like a hockey stick, or it's very ugly. It's an ugly stock, in my opinion. But the Magpul PRS also has a very narrow cheek rest. Now, the LMT SOPMOD stock is more similar in shape to this Luth-AR's cheek rest in that it's got a nice tinted type curve. It feels much better on the cheek, but again, a much more expensive stock. Also, the finger hook, the LMT's finger hook and the PRS's finger hook are just kind of rounded, and it takes a lot of finger to actually anchor it into your arm. Now, this Luth-AR has got a much narrower profile here, and I think this is better because it means that you can get your knuckles right over that thinner ridge and then end up with less finger to pull the stock one way or the other if you happen to flinch just from the anchor. So potentially it's a more accurate stock because there's less, even though you're still pulling it into your shoulder, there's less there to move it from side to side. The weight, this is the lightest of those stocks, even with all the hardware attached. I believe I've held a PRS stock and I've held the LMT stock. You can definitely tell there's a big weight difference. 1 pound, 0.99 pounds, or about 1 pound. The Magpul PRS I think is around 1.5 pounds, and I think the LMT is also about 1.5 pounds or so. So let's talk about cost. As I mentioned before, this stock is about $140, $140 for the plain black one. Magpul PRS is $240 or so, and the SOPMOD stock is about $300. Now, as far as I can tell from handling the PRS and handling the SOPMOD stock, I don't think the SOPMOD offers any features over the PRS. Now, this Luth-AR is clearly a very different design than either of those two stocks. And like I said before, I think this is a tougher stock than those two stocks. I think it's a better looking stock. It's definitely a lighter stock, which is good, in my opinion. I think it's a better design stock. The one downside is that this stock is offered in flat dark earth and black, and I think pink, or has pink inserts. But there is no olive drab green option, which means if I want it to be olive drab green and match my no longer Magpul olive drab green, but at least match my Duracoat and the Midwest Industries olive drab green and the Hogue olive drab green, and what was previously, this was a A2 stock olive drab green. If I wanted all those things to match, I would have to paint this either with Duracoat like this, or Lumahide, or some other color, which would cost me another $40 or $50 to do that. So I'm not going to do that right now, and I might just throw a coat of Krylon or something on it just to see how it holds up. Fortunately, the surface of this is already suitable for painting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to install this on my Grendel. We'll see how hard this is. There's my 2 thumb screws, 2 little gripper pieces, the 2 nuts. I probably didn't need to take this one off now that I think about it. But oh well. They also make a collapsible version of the stock that I have not seen in person. So I'm going to use my Wheeler fat wrench, big adjuster head, to set my max torque up to be about 30-ish, let's call it 40 inch-pounds. We're popping this paper off. So if you've never seen an A2 style stock, rifle stock, unlike the collapsible stocks, the rifle stocks go on a little bit differently, and the hardware underneath is a little bit different. I'm not sure how well you can see this, but there's actually a screw under here that attaches this A2 butt plate, and then therefore the rest of the stock, to a buffer tube underneath. And actually, probably the easiest way to do this is to go ahead and break it down. So go ahead and take the upper off. The way I don't have any like weird spring tension things going on. There we go. I'm going to put this aside. Put my upper down here on the ground. Alright. Let's get back to work. So here you can probably see a little bit easier. You can see there's a screw here, there's a screw on the bottom. That's to hold the sling stud in. And there's usually a little pocket in here you can hold stuff in. This Luth-AR stock, the MBA-1, does not have a pocket, but that's to be expected given that it's skeletonized. Okay, so it needs more than 40 inch-pounds, which is kind of surprising. But then again, I could have put some Loctite or something in the last time I put this stock on, thinking I would never take it off again. You know how that goes. There we go. Okay, so I spent some time filing off some of the red, probably Loctite or similar thread locking compound. Stuff is a pain in the butt to have to deal with on these threads. Basically, the problem was that they put this red thread locker all over the screw threads without first checking to see how far in the screw would go. So up until where the screw would go in with the A2 stock, it would screw in fine. Then when you got past that, it would seize up because of the thread compound. So definitely not ideal. I tried to get as much of it out as I could. Still kind of goobery looking, but hopefully I can at least install the stock now. So, I forgot about that. So one of the things I did forget, I'll go ahead and try this out while I have everything taken apart, is that it comes with a rear screw. There is this fancy screw, which should, I think, oh it does, look how nice that is. Another great perk from LuthAR. They supply hardware, and the hardware fits. It fits so good. It fits so well. Oh man, so nice. Look how nice that is. Much better than this goobered up screw. Put that aside. Ta-da! Go. Buckles back in. Set my adjustment. I figure I'm going to put it probably as high as it'll go. Nice and tight. And because I'm a pretty tall guy, I'm going to move this out pretty far. The length of pull. Set the length of pull pretty far back. And put the thumb screw in. Ooh. There we go. Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. And then my upper. Ooh. Here's the upper. There's the lower. Probably take the down pins back out. There we go. And there she is installed. And I think it looks fabulous. Even though it doesn't quite match color-wise. I think it looks really good. So, what are the things you can do with this rifle? This was put on a precision rifle, 20-inch barreled, 6.5 Grendel. I would say the stock, you know, from what I've seen from the collapsible stocks, the Magpul, MOE type stocks, the CTR stocks, I would say this stock is light enough to be run on a carbine or any kind of lighter weight rifle, and because it's adjustable, you can see it's quite good for a precision rifle as well. I think that makes it a very versatile stock, and given its price point and how durable, how strong it is, the hardware that comes with it, the features it's got on it, and its weight, this is probably the stock I will put on all of my future rifles. So